Well, another year has come and gone, and as is tradition on this channel, we're going to spend all of January looking back at our favorite things from the previous year. So in Comic Class this month, we're going to count down our favorite characters, villains, and moments from comic books in 2019, all leading up to our top 100 comics of the year. But let's begin by taking a look at the characters who had the biggest impact on us this year. The ones who owned the page and made us excited to read comics in 2019. Starting with number 10, Bridget McGuire from Once and Future. There are a lot of stories about secret organizations dedicated to stopping ancient evils from returning, but rarely is the top agent of those organizations a kindly old British woman dragging her grandson around. Bridget McGuire is that perfect combination of sweet old grandmother who always has a smile on their face and seems like they're just about to give you a hard candy, an elderly person who has lived long enough that they don't care what you think about them, merged together into someone who has spent their entire life hunting down supernatural beasts and trying to fight back against an evil organization that is attempting to resurrect a demonic King Arthur. And after all this time, she has to go back into the field for one last adventure, bringing a truckload of sass behind her, which has made her the breakout star of Karen Gillian's new hit series. Next up at number 9 is, oh yikes. Okay. I actually forgot this was on here. Hey, before we get into number 9, now would be a really good time for me to come in here and remind everyone that under YouTube's new terms of services, I have to declare that this video is not intended for children under the age of 13. But I do know there's still a lot of parents out there who are letting their younger kids watch these videos. So if you are one of those parents, that would be a really good time to step in and jump to the time that you see right here to, just completely skip number 9. It's boring. Children wouldn't enjoy number 9. They wouldn't like this entry at all. Just go ahead right to number 8. Just go ahead, skip to number 8 right now. Go on. There you go. Skip ahead. Are they gone? Okay, cool. At number 9, fuck Tarkington from Assassin Nation. No, I'm not kidding you. That's actually the character's name. Assassin Nation is a series about the world's greatest assassins all coming together to hunt down one of their own, and I am not exaggerating when I say this book has the greatest collection of personalities of any series this year. But if I had to pick the standout star of this book, the breakout character from a series full of breakout characters, it's fuck Tarkington. Tarkington's dad thought if he named his son Fuck, it would toughen him up, and, well, mission accomplished, as Fuck is an unstoppable force in overalls. This is a guy who, when he storms a mob boss's stronghold, he's the only assassin that doesn't bring a gun because he wanted to make it a fair fight. But he isn't a breakout character because he's tough. It's because he's probably got the biggest heart out of anyone in this book. Which, okay, it's a book about assassins, so that's not really that hard of an accomplishment, but this is a guy whose first kill was against a man abusing bloodhound dogs, so he smashed him with a Looney Tunes-style boulder to save them. Yes, he's a big dumb pile of rocks, but he's a charming and lovable big dumb pile of rocks. And the fact that I can describe someone who kills people for a living as charming and lovable says a lot about what a great character he is. In fact, he's such a great character that I still had to put him on this list, despite the fact that I knew including him on here would get this video demonetized for my use of foul language. Totally worth it. Number 8, Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. Spoiler for the finale of Walking Dead. Skip ahead to number 7 to avoid it, but it's been a while since anyone from The Walking Dead graced any of our lists. But this year, as the series came to a conclusion, they sent the book off with a long look back at the legacy of Rick Grimes. Right before his death, he gave a speech that harkened back to one of the series' darkest moments, but now with a twist, with a tone of hope, showing how much Rick had grown as a character, laying us see that even in this world overrun with the dead, where the living suffered so much, he had managed to scrape and claw his way up from the depths to find a brighter future. And when we actually saw that future, we were reminded that the reason we were all still here, the reason why mankind survived, and why we once again led normal lives is because of what Rick Grimes had done. Number 7, Conan the Barbarian. This was the year that Conan the Barbarian returned to Marvel Comics, and at first I thought, okay, maybe we'll get one new Conan book out of this. Turns out we got two. And they were both actually really good, letting audiences know that Marvel had writers working for them who fully understood what made Conan work. But just getting two series doesn't get you into the top 10. No, he gets up here because Marvel decided they weren't just going to make Conan comics, they were going to go all in on Conan. He became a central figure in a huge Avengers storyline, ended up joining a different Avengers team, had multiple one-shots, and ended the year leading a giant crossover event where he brought other Robert E. Howard characters into the Marvel Universe. Conan makes it onto this list not just for coming to the Marvel Universe, but for planting a huge flag in the Marvel Universe, letting us know he was here to be a major player. Number 6, Veil from No One Left to Fight. No One Left to Fight is one of the best series to come out this year, and a lot of that comes down to Veil, the series protagonist who at first glance might appear kind of one-dimensional, but as the series goes along, he continuously proves that not only is he layered, he's actually one of the most complex characters of any series this year. This is a man who trained his whole life to fight, all leading up to a climactic battle where he faced off with the ultimate evil and won, saving the world. And now he has to live in this world. A world where everyone praises him as a hero wherever he goes. But you can tell from his interactions that he doesn't feel like he deserves it. He doesn't want people praising him. Whenever people come up to him and talk about how great he is, the look in his face makes it seem like their applause is hurting him more than any enemy ever could. This is a world where everyone tells him to settle down and enjoy his life, but he can't. There's something in him. Something that tugs at his heart and his mind deep down within his soul and forces him to keep searching, even though you can tell he wants nothing more than to stop and actually live out his life in peace. It's because of this complexity, because of how much you can see the pain in his eyes, and because of the many mysteries he's still hiding, that Veil becomes a character that I constantly wanted to read more about. Number 5, Venom. Donny Cates continued his breakout run on Venom this year, taking this character and making him not just a Spider-Man villain, but something much larger to the entire landscape of the Marvel Universe. And after a year of building up Venom's new cosmic origins, as well as teasing us with the potential reveal that Eddie's brother is actually his son, it all came to a head with absolute carnage, an event where Eddie had to face off against a creature that could herald the apocalypse and was forced to fight him not as Venom, but as Eddie Brock. As a guy who has screwed up so many times over the course of his life, but now he has to actually step up and be a hero. Over the course of Absolute Carnage, we got to watch Eddie grow and mature so much as a character, and it all led up to this moment, which to me isn't just the peak of this entire event, it's one of the best moments for Eddie's character that we've ever seen in comics. And what's really crazy is that with how this event left off, we know that Eddie's story is just getting started. There is a good chance with where this series is going that Eddie could end up on this list again next year and maybe even the year after that. Next up at number 4 is Thor. I swear to you that is a total coincidence. I did not put his name next to the number it rhymes with. It just kind of worked out that way. Jason Aaron's run on Thor came to a finale this year, and I can't describe his time on this book as anything other than legendary. And it had a finale that was worthy of all the praise the series had received all throughout. We saw Thor reclaim his legendary hammer Mjolnir as he once again became the god of thunder. He lost his eye to make him resemble his future self that had been haunting him for years now, and he finally stepped into his destined position as King of Asgard. We had seen Thor go on a journey for 7 years now, clearly all heading towards a massive status change for one of Marvel's longest running characters, and this was the year we finally hit that conclusion. And even with all that buildup, they still stuck the landing in a way that will make us remember this as one of the best Thor storylines of all time. Number 3, Batman. I know at this point it's almost pointless to say that Batman is in the top 10 characters of the year. It's practically a given because over the last decade, DC has gone all in on making Batman the face of their universe. But what can I say? He kind of had another big year. We saw the end of Tom King's run on Batman, but even more impressively, with the release of Last Night on Earth, we sort of got the finale to Scott Snyder's run on Batman. A run on this character that was sort of the definitive run on Batman over the course of the past 10 years. Even when Scott Snyder left the primary Batman book, he continued to build upon this character, and it was all leading up to this moment. But Last Night on Earth wasn't just a DC book. It was a DC Black Label book. The new line of titles DC launched aimed at older audiences, which was so successful, DC canceled their Vertigo line to make room for it. And do you know why it was so successful? Because almost every Black Label book starred Batman. That's right, Batman was so big this year, he destroyed a 30-year-long line of books. Yeah, we've now hit that point where Batman isn't just a popular comic book character, but he's something that molds the entire comic book landscape around him. Number 2, Superman. I know it might seem weird to say considering that I made this list, but I'm actually shocked that Superman made the number 2 spot because honestly, on my first run of this list, he wasn't even on it because while I know it has its fans, this year I wasn't that impressed with either Action Comics or the Superman series. I thought they were just both, okay. But as I said, we're also putting together a list of the best moments of the year, and after putting that list together, I was shocked to find that Superman had multiple entries on it. And that's because while he might not have had the most impressive year in his actual series, he kind of dominated every other series he was in. In Scott Snyder's Justice League, he had one of the greatest journeys the character has ever gone through in the 6th Dimension storyline. In Deceased, he had one of the most touching moments we've ever seen from this character in any series. And of course, there's Doomsday Clock, the book that all of the DC universe had been leading towards over the past 2 years, literally ended with Superman being such a shining beacon of hope and good and inspiration that it forced Dr. Manhattan's heart to grow 3 times its size that day, causing him to turn around and save Christmas. So with all this combined, I think 2019 was a great year for writers at DC stepping up and saying, let's show everyone why Superman is important. And at the number 1 spot, Moira McTaggart. Now, I'll admit that Moira partly gets at number 1 because she's a stand-in for the entire X-Men line of books that saw a huge explosion in popularity this year, but she's the stand-in for that line because she caused that explosion in popularity. If you want to talk about a character that had a huge impact on comics in 2019, a character we're going to be talking about for years, and a character who had a massive glow-up in popularity this year, it was Moira McTaggart. This year, Moira McTaggart revealed that not only was she not dead, but she had died several times before and was actually a mutant with the power to relive her life each time she died. And she had been using this ability to manipulate the Marvel Universe for decades now. This was like finding out that the quiet receptionist at the office that nobody paid attention to was actually the owner of the company. And part of me wondered if I really should make Moira the spokesperson for the X-Men books because while she did get several issues delving into the journey that she had gone on, when it came to the actual X-Men in the modern day, she was mostly off-screen and a mystery. But that mystery was one of the most intriguing parts of the book. Whenever Moira wasn't on screen, everyone was asking, where's Moira? And it can't be understated that Moira gave the X-Men books the kick they finally needed. Marvel spent almost the entire last decade trying to shove the X-Men into the corner and throw a blanket over them to get them out of the picture. They kept trying to kill that entire line of books off, and they almost did it because even after the Fox-Disney deal was settled, they said, alright, time to revitalize and bring back the X-Men. And it didn't really work. Nobody was really feeling that big revitalization that they had planned. But then Moira came in and in one storyline got that team back on track, which is why she has to be the number 1 character of the year. She's the character that finally brought the X-Men back. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Like I said, we've got plenty of other 2019 retrospectives coming up this month, not just for comics, but for movies as well. And if you want to see all that, then hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. And you can stay up to date with us by following us on Twitter and Twitch at Professor Thorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.